Welcome back to another Tesifix podcast. In this episode, we're going to guide you on how to track your vehicle's maintenance intervals and also how to schedule an appointment.
Yeah, that's a great topic to deep dive into. You wouldn't believe how many Tesla owners are kind of in the dark about when to do even basic maintenance on their car.
It's true. You'd think with all the technology in these cars, knowing when to rotate your tires would be like a no-brainer, right?
It's not always obvious.
It's
But today, we're going to break it all down for you. We've got some great info straight from Tesla's own resources that will definitely make you a much savvier Tesla owner.
Yeah, what's fascinating about Tesla is that they really push the do-it-yourself approach to maintenance.
Okay, so DIY Tesla. What does that actually mean for someone like you who owns a Model Y?
Well, for starters, it means understanding that you don't need to follow a strict maintenance schedule like you would with a traditional gas-powered car. A lot of Tesla maintenance is as needed, which is a huge departure from what most people are used to. So no more rushing to the mechanic every 3,000 miles.
Right.
Just because some sticker on your windshield says so.
Exactly. But even with this as-needed approach, there are still some key maintenance tasks that Tesla recommends to keep your Model Y in top shape and running smoothly for years to come. And that's what we're going to break down for you today.
Perfect. Let's get into the specifics. What are some of these essential maintenance items that every Model Y owner should be aware of?
Let's start with brake fluid. Tesla recommends getting your brake fluid checked every 4 years. Now, this doesn't automatically mean you need a full fluid flush every 4 years. It's more of a health check to ensure your brake fluid is still in good condition. Of course, if you're a more aggressive driver, towing heavy loads or frequently driving in mountainous areas, you might want to consider more frequent checks.
So 4 years is the baseline, but adjust as needed based on your driving habits.
Got it. What's next on our Tesla maintenance checklist? Next up is your cabin air filter. Think of this as the lungs of your car's interior. You want to swap this out every 2 years to keep the air inside fresh and clean. But here's a little wrinkle. If your Model Y is equipped with a HEPA or carbon filter, those have a slightly longer replacement interval of 3 years.
Interesting. So the type of filter impacts the replacement schedule. Anything else we need to know about air filters?
Yes. One more important detail. For our listeners in China, if you're driving a Model Y there, Tesla actually recommends replacing HEPA and carbon filters annually, regardless of mileage.
Good to know. So a little variation based on location and the filter type.
Yeah.
Got it. What about those brakes? Anything specific we need to keep in mind?
For those of you living in areas where road salt is a reality during the winter months, Tesla recommends cleaning and lubricating your brake calipers annually. Now, this might seem like a minor detail, but trust me, it can make a big difference in the long run. Road salt can be incredibly corrosive, and neglecting this step can lead to premature wear and tear on your braking system.
So a little preventative maintenance can save you a lot of headaches and potentially expensive repairs down the road. Makes sense. Okay, let's talk about the big one-tire rotations. This seems to be the source of a lot of confusion for Tesla owners.
You're absolutely right. Now, this one might surprise you. Tesla recommends rotating your tires every 6,250 miles. Or if there's a 232-inch difference in tread depth between the tires, whichever comes first.
6,250 miles? That's a lot less frequent than what's typically recommended for gas cars. What's the reasoning behind that?
It likely comes down to the unique weight distribution and advanced technology in Teslas. They're designed to minimize tire wear. So those frequent rotations you're used to with traditional cars just aren't as necessary. But here's the key takeaway. Don't just rely on mileage. Keep a close eye on your tire tread depth. If you hit that 232-inch difference, it's time for a rotation, even if you haven't hit the 6,250-mile mark.
So tread depth trumps mileage in this case. Good to know. Now, before we move on to how to actually schedule service with a Tesla service center, I want to touch on one more maintenance item that often gets overlooked.
You're talking about radiator cleaning, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is especially important for those of us who live in areas with lots of dust, dirt, or pollution. Why is radiator cleanliness so crucial for a Tesla?
Well, you can think of the radiator as a vital organ in your Tesla's thermal management system. It needs to be able to breathe, so to speak, to keep everything running at the optimal temperature. Over time, all that dust and debris can clog up the radiator, restricting airflow, and potentially impacting your heating and AC performance.
So how often should we be thinking about cleaning the radiator?
Tesla doesn't provide a specific interval for this one. It really depends on your driving environment. If you're frequently driving in dusty or polluted conditions, it's wise to check your radiator regularly and consider cleaning it more often. And if you're not comfortable tackling this yourself, you can always schedule a service appointment through the Tesla app.
Speaking of the Tesla app, That brings us to a crucial part of this deep dive, demystifying the process of scheduling service appointments. It's actually incredibly straightforward and convenient once you know how it works.
It is, and it really showcases Tesla's tech-forward approach. Instead of having to call a service center or deal with complicated online forms, you can schedule service right from your phone anytime, anywhere.
So walk us through it. How do we actually schedule a service appointment through the app like a pro?
It all starts by opening up your Tesla app and tapping on Schedule Service. From there, you'll be prompted to select the type of service you need. And here's where things get interesting. Tesla actually asks for some specific details to help their service team accurately diagnose any potential issues you might be experiencing.
I'm intrigued. What kind of information are we talking about here?
Think of it like giving your Tesla a complete medical history. You'll be asked to provide things like photos, sound recordings, or even videos if those can help illustrate the issue you're experiencing.
Wow, that's pretty high tech. I could see how that would be super helpful for the service technicians.
Exactly. They really try to get as much context as possible to streamline the diagnosis and repair process. You'll also need to provide the date, time, and time zone when the issue occurred, as well as your location and the country where you're using the vehicle.
It's like they're trying to recreate the scene of the crime to get to the bottom of things. Pretty impressive. What other details do they ask for?
If the issue is related to your driving experience, you'll be asked for details like the approximate speed you were traveling at, the environmental conditions, rain, snow, etc., the type of road you were on, and even the quality of the lane markings. They really want to get the full picture.
They're leaving no stone unturned. So we've covered photos and videos, the date and time of the issue, location details, and even specific driving conditions. Anything else we need to be prepared to provide.
They also ask for any relevant vehicle settings you might have adjusted, like if you were using autopilot or regenerative braking, and any specific symptoms you've noticed, such as unusual noises, vibrations, or warning lights.
So the more information you can provide, the better equipped the service team will be to diagnose and resolve the issue efficiently. It sounds like they're really trying to make the process as smooth and hassle-free as possible for the owner.
They are. And, to help you find even more information about scheduling service, we've got a couple of handy links for you. For those of you everywhere except China, the link is https://www.tesla.com/support-service-visits.
And for our listeners in China, the specific link is https://www.tesla.cn/support-service-visits. We'll make sure to include both of those links in the show notes as well.
Perfect. Now, with all of that essential information at your fingertips, you're well on your way to becoming a Tesla maintenance master.
But hold on, folks.
Wait.
We've got even more ground to cover, including some additional tips and considerations that every Tesla owner should keep in mind. So stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll delve even deeper into the world of keeping your Model Y running smoothly.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Tesla maintenance. For you Model Y owners, before we took a pause, we covered those essential maintenance milestones you should know about and how to use the Tesla app to schedule service like a pro. Let's shift gears a little bit and explore some additional tips and considerations that are super valuable for every Tesla owner out there.
Yeah, I'm all ears. I find that. Those little nuances and details often lead to the biggest aha moments. So what are some things we need to keep in mind as Tesla owners?
Well, first off, it's super important to remember that the maintenance intervals we've discussed are really just recommendations from Tesla. They're a great starting point. But ultimately, your individual driving habits and the environment you drive in play a huge role in how often you'll need to address certain maintenance tasks.
That makes perfect sense. It's kind of like a personalized approach to car care, right?
Exactly. If you're constantly driving in extreme weather, towing heavy loads, or pushing your Tesla to its limits, you'll likely need to be more proactive with your maintenance. Compared to someone who's mainly driving in mild conditions and taking it easy on the accelerator, it's all about being in tune with your car and listening to what it's telling you.
So being a mindful Tesla owner means paying attention to those subtle cues your car might be giving you. Now, I know there's a lot of chatter online about voiding warranties. If you don't follow Tesla's maintenance recommendations to the letter, what's the truth there?
That's a common concern, and I'm glad you brought it up. The beauty of the information we've been sharing today is that it comes straight from Tesla themselves. It's all based on those do-it-yourself guides they provide to owners. So rest assured, following these DIY tips won't void your warranty in any way.
That's a huge relief. It means you can confidently handle some of these maintenance tasks on your own without worrying about jeopardizing your coverage. It really empowers you as a Tesla owner.
Absolutely. And it all ties back to that DIY philosophy that Tesla embraces. They want you to be informed and empowered to take care of your vehicle.
Speaking of DIY, I think it's important to point out that the maintenance schedule we've been discussing doesn't cover every single thing you might need to address over the lifespan of your Model Y.
You're right. We focused on those key recommended service intervals. But there are also certain parts that simply wear down over time and need to be replaced based on usage.
Can you give us some examples of those consumable parts that we should keep on our radar?
Sure, things like windshield wipers, brake pads, and even the 12-volt battery fall into this category. These items aren't tied to a specific mileage or time interval, like the other maintenance tasks we've discussed. Instead, you'll need to monitor their condition and replace them as needed when they show signs of wear and tear.
So it's a good idea to get in the habit of visually inspecting these parts regularly and being aware of any changes in performance. That might indicate they're nearing the end of their life.
Precisely. And if you're ever unsure about the condition of a particular part, don't hesitate to reach out to Tesla service or consult your owner's manual for guidance.
That's great advice. I think we've covered a lot of ground so far in this deep dive. We've demystified those essential maintenance intervals, walked through how to schedule service like a pro using the Tesla app, and even addressed some common concerns about warranties and DIY maintenance. It's amazing how much information is packed into these Tesla resources.
It is. And you know what I love about this as-needed approach is that it truly puts you, the owner, in the driver's seat. When it comes to maintaining your Tesla, you have the flexibility to tailor your maintenance plan to your individual driving style, environment, and comfort level.
It's all about taking ownership of your Tesla experience and being proactive about its care, which is really empowering. Yeah. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I think there's one final thought-provoking question we should leave our listeners with.
I couldn't agree more. Now that you have a solid grasp on how to maintain your Tesla, the next level is figuring out how to integrate these maintenance practices into your lifestyle seamlessly. How can you stay ahead of the curve and make sure your Model Y always gets the love and care it needs?
That's a great question to ponder, and one that each listener will need to answer based on their unique situation.
Exactly. Maybe it's as simple as setting reminders in your phone or incorporating those visual inspections into your regular car wash routine. Or perhaps it's about becoming more attuned to those subtle cues your Tesla is giving you, like a slight change in brake pedal feel or a decrease in regenerative braking efficiency.
It's all about finding a system that works for you and developing a personalized maintenance plan that fits your lifestyle and driving habits.
And remember, even with all this great information we've shared today, the Tesla app is still your best friend. When it comes to staying on top of your Model Y's needs, be sure to check it regularly for any specific recommendations or updates that might apply to your vehicle model and year. Tesla is constantly innovating and refining their approach to maintenance, so staying connected through the app is key.
Great point. Well, listeners, it's time to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive into Tesla Model Y maintenance. We've demystified those essential maintenance intervals, walked you through the Tesla app like pros, and encouraged you to think about how to personalize your maintenance approach.
But we're not quite done yet. In part 3, we'll tackle some common questions and misconceptions about Tesla maintenance, offering even more insights to help you keep your Model Y in peak condition.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into keeping your Tesla Model Y running in tip-top shape. We've heard all about the key maintenance tasks and learned the secrets of the Tesla app for scheduling service. But before we wrap up, I wanted to address some of those common questions and misconceptions that often swirl around Tesla maintenance.
It's amazing how much misinformation is out there, even about something as straightforward as car maintenance.
Exactly. And because Teslas are still relatively new to the automotive landscape, there are bound to be some myths and misunderstandings floating around. So let's debunk some of those myths and set the record straight, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, first up, the question we get all the time is, do I really need to warm up my Tesla before driving, especially in cold weather? This is something that's drilled into our heads with gas-powered cars.
Right. Makes sense for those older combustion engines. Warming up a car was essential to get the oil flowing and everything running smoothly. But with a Tesla, you can throw that old rule out the window.
So no more shivering in a freezing car for 10 minutes before you can hit the road.
Nope. While it's true that battery performance can be slightly affected by extreme cold, Teslas have intelligent systems that manage this for you. The battery will warm up gradually as you drive, and you'll regain full range and performance capabilities as it reaches its optimal temperature.
That's a relief for those of us living in colder climates. What about the other end of the spectrum? Do we need to worry about overheating, especially during those scorching summer months?
That's a great question. And another area where Teslas differ significantly from gas-powered cars, overheating is a major concern with combustion engines because they generate so much heat. But Teslas have sophisticated thermal management systems that keep all the components running at safe temperatures, even in extreme heat.
So those systems are working behind the scenes to keep us comfortable, to keep the battery happy, and to prevent overheating. That's good to know. Okay, here's one that I know a lot of people are curious about. Can I take my Tesla through a regular car wash, or do I need to find some special electric car wash? You'll be happy to hear that you can absolutely take your Tesla through a regular car wash. Automatic or touchless, no need to search for some specialized EV wash. Just remember to fold in your mirrors and close those windows nice and tight.
And I've heard it's best to avoid those high-pressure undercarriage sprayers that some car washes use, right?
Good point. Those powerful jets of water could potentially damage some of the sensitive components under your Tesla. It's always best to err on the side of caution. Okay, last question before we wrap things up. This one comes up a lot. Do I absolutely have to take my Tesla to a Tesla service center for all maintenance and repairs, or can I go to any mechanic?
That's a question with a bit of a nuanced answer. For anything related to the battery, the electrical system, or those advanced driver assistance systems, it's absolutely crucial to go to a Tesla service center. They have the specialized knowledge, the right tools, and access to Tesla-specific parts, which are essential for properly diagnosing and repairing those complex systems.
So when it comes to the heart of what makes a Tesla, stick with the experts at the Tesla service center. But what about those more routine maintenance tasks, like tire rotations or brake pad replacements?
For those more general tasks, you do have a bit more flexibility. There are reputable independent mechanics out there who have experience with Teslas and can handle those services competently. But it's essential to do your research. Find a mechanic with a proven track record working on electric vehicles, and maybe check those Tesla online forums for recommendations.
That's a great tip. Those online communities can be gold mines of information when it comes to finding trustworthy service providers in your area.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to the passionate and helpful Tesla community out there.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything in this deep dive into Tesla Model Y maintenance. We've demystified those essential maintenance intervals, guided you through the Tesla app, debunked some common misconceptions, and even empowered you to take a more DIY approach to caring for your Tesla.
It's all about equipping you with the knowledge and confidence to keep your Model Y running smoothly and safely for years to come.
Exactly. Remember, maintaining your Tesla doesn't have to be a mystery or a chore. With a little knowledge, some proactive planning, and a bit of DIY spirit, you can enjoy many miles of happy driving.
And don't forget, the Tesla app and your owner's manual are valuable resources. If you have any questions or concerns, those are great places to start.
So buckle up, enjoy the ride, and rest assured that you're now well equipped to be a confident, informed Tesla owner.
Happy driving.
And that concludes this episode of the Deep Dive on the Tesifix podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.